Well, thank you for joining us. This certainly is an unprecedented time. Unprecedented challenges between COVID, climate change, trying to create an inclusive recovery coming out of the economic challenges of the last couple of years, but also unprecedented opportunities, particularly those created by technological innovation. And I'm honored to be joined today to talk about this by Microsoft's president and vice chairman, Brad Smith, who leads the company's work on so many issues, but including those issues around the nexus of technology and society. And one of the reasons we're here today is to share the news that we are forging a strategic partnership, the Economic Recovery Strategic Alliance, which will focus on global skilling, equitable access to capital and economic opportunity in the United States, and helping to build the field of data science for social impact. So, Brad, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Let me start by going to your book, and I can recommend your book to all of our listeners. You were really quite prescient in your observations a couple of years ago when it came out. How do we ensure that the benefits of technology are broadly shared, and that as we move towards an increasingly digital economy, we're not creating new digital divides, but building digital bridges?
Well, first of all, Mike, thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk with you. I've always said for years, any day I get to spend a little time with you is a good day. And any day that any of us at Microsoft get to spend some of the time with people at Mastercard is a good day too, for sure. We wrote this book. I wrote it with another one of our employees, Carol Ann Brown, and we entitled it Tools and Weapons, because in the world today, I think if you have a problem and you want to solve it, digital technology is part of the toolkit that you can use. But we also live at a time when technology is weaponized, times literally, like in cyber attacks. But we also see the uneven distribution of digital technology exacerbating every other divide that I think we worry about in this country and around the world. And if this pandemic has had any sort of silver lining in the cloud that it has cast over all of us, it has been to shine a spotlight on what it means when, say, some people have broadband and others do not. Literally, it meant the difference between going to school and not being able to attend. And you can pull on that thread, and it's not just the access to the technology itself, it's the access to the skills needed to put that technology to work that is distributed so unevenly today. And it's part of the foundation we need to rebuild in order to create more opportunities for people.
Well, let's go there. Let's go to the global skilling issue, because as you say, if we're going to have a truly inclusive economy, there's got to be opportunity for all. Opportunity for all means jobs and job capabilities for all. And that goes to skills. Microsoft, you personally have had a lot of experience in thinking through how to engage in a global skilling effort. What do you think we can do now with technology and otherwise to be effective in this area?
Well, I think there's three things that need to come together, and our partnership is a big part of what I believe can help us scale to deliver on this. First, we actually have to use digital technology to deliver training materials, courseware, opportunities for online learning, connections to mentors, and ultimately online certification so that people can pass a test and get the kind of certificate that is going to make them more mobile economically, that will help them get a job. The second thing we need is the substance. We need access to the subject matter experts and the high quality material. And when you think about where we sort of put our skills together as companies at Microsoft and with LinkedIn and the like, we have a lot of capabilities to deliver content, but we are not experts in financial literacy, one of the most important skills that people need, but you all are. Mastercard is. And so we bring those two things together. But then I think there is a third dimension that is always important for us to remind ourselves, especially for those of us who work at a tech company like Microsoft. Technology is wonderful. It turns out you still need human beings. You still need partnerships. You need to build a network, oftentimes with nonprofits. As we've really studied our digital skilling work, which has reached more than 40 million people over the last year, it turns out that there's a last mile to skilling, just like there's a last mile to broadband. It really comes down to whether people finish what they start. And people are much more likely to progress farther and actually finish when they have a human being who's looking over their shoulder, is lending a helping hand, is sort of playing that same role a teacher played in our classroom growing up, being a mentor, and oftentimes it is somebody with a nonprofit. So we start to bring these things together, and I think it speaks to the basic premise of our whole partnership. You need digital inclusion. You need financial literacy. You put those together, and you actually create a real catalyst for economic mobility.
Well, I think you're absolutely right. And between the network effect and, as you say, partnering with local NGOs and others on the ground who can deliver that last mile touch, that last mile service is going to be critically important. Here in the United States, in response to the racial reckoning of last year, we launched at Mastercard the In Solidarity initiative. Microsoft launched its Racial Equity initiative, both broadly focused on how to bridge the opportunity gap faced by Black communities in the United States, and some of which has been structural in our history. What do you think can be done to really ensure, particularly again around the digital economy, that we seize this opportunity to bring into the economy communities that have been excluded historically, and to try and bridge that wealth and opportunity gap?
I think in part, Mike, it builds on what we've been talking about already. It means going out and reaching out into these communities. I think oftentimes it really starts with forging the kinds of relationships to ensure that we understand what the community needs and not just act on the basis of some preconceived notion of what we think they need. I think it involves building concrete programs that deliver not just economic opportunity, but often starts with more foundational skills. And that's why I think building a broader network, that's why partnering with local communities is part of what we're doing as our two companies, what we're each doing, as we're pursuing our different racial equity initiatives. That is how I think we will advance economic mobility.
I think I would add to your comment, in addition to skilling and jobs, equitable access to capital, which is another part of our partnership, I think is going to be critical. And getting our investment, for example, in the Fearless Fund and in Greenwood Bank, and our partnership with some local small businesses in Atlanta is all about trying to overcome obstacles to capital so that local community can build businesses, begin to create wealth, and begin to grow and be more prosperous from there. One of the things we did in Atlanta was provide them with data insights from our spend data to help them understand the impact of COVID on Atlanta, what communities were lagging behind in the recovery, what they might do to address that. Data science, bringing to the table the skills of data science for social impact, is something I know our two companies are really focused on and share. And I'm delighted that Microsoft's going to be joining data.org along with the Rockefeller Foundation and others to help develop this field of data science for social impact. Tell us about Microsoft's perspective on you're such a fantastic data company. How do you bring data science to the table in a way that has a positive impact?
Both of our companies work with large amounts of data. And I think the key is to develop the capability to harness the power of that data and really discern the insights that can make us more effective in solving the problems we want to solve. 3 years ago at Microsoft, we created a data science and analytics team that would focus exclusively on these types of societal challenges and problems we're trying to address. We took one of the issues that we're working on in our racial equity initiative, and also more broadly, access to broadband in the country. And we found that when we harnessed the power of data, we could actually identify more precisely than the federal government or anyone else had who had access to broadband and who didn't. And so, I think data, one of the lessons from COVID, we've seen data used in new ways. It is the tool that we should put to work for every problem we want to solve. And with our two companies and with the Rockefeller Foundation and data.org, I think we have something that will advance economic mobility and financial inclusion, but it's also creating a capability societally that we can use for everything.
Absolutely. Look, I think we are both committed, both of our companies are committed to having impact and to having impact at scale. And none of us can do it alone. We do it through collaboration. And we're so grateful to you, to your CEO, Satya Nadella, and to Microsoft for being such a great partner in all of these efforts.
Well, that's great. Thank you. I think we both look forward to what our two companies are going to do with this partnership and what we're going to work with a lot of other people to accomplish together. So some exciting days ahead.